My grandfather was probably who you're talking about.
Right.
He was a daily drinker,
Right.
which could have provoked a lot of the abuse cycle
Sure.
that he created within the family.
Right, that's a good way to put it when it comes to grandma. And I think in her coming through and kind of acknowledging that he had some of these issues, it's more so an acknowledgement of the fact that these situations have been resolved on the other side. I believe that when we pass away, we gain a lot of perspective. And in these understandings, people kind of come through and are like, you know, now I have this awareness, and that's oftentimes why they'll share it. So is that the grandfather?
That is the grandfather.
That makes
That's
sense.
him.
Wow. Oh, funny enough, when I'm holding on to this, I have to talk about the two brothers, but like, do you know if he had a brother?
Yep.
Okay. And then there's a
He had
reference.
2 brothers.
Okay, cool. I have to talk about one of them. Go back and check within family and see if they had like a very defining feature on the face that would have been like either a birthmark or like either a large scar, a birthmark, or some like thing on the skin.
On the face?
On the face,
Okay.
yeah. Do you know of anyone who dealt with like
Skin abnormality
like
or
a
anything?
skin abnormality on their head or face? Like either a birthmark, I don't know if it's a cherry mark.
Oh, wow. Yes.
It's like, but it's like defining
Yes.
thing. Yes.
That's crazy.
Okay, where would that fit?
He had 3 brothers.
Okay.
I forgot. There was brother Al, who I believe was his older brother.
Okay.
And Al had a birthmark on his head.
Okay, so that's interesting. I feel like that's their way of reminding, like, hey, there's another brother. So
Easy.
please know that.
That's crazy. I had totally forgot about his brother Alan. And then I remember he had kind of that big brown spot in the middle of his forehead, and I went, that's it. That was a crazy one, because there's no way anybody would have known that. Nobody.
So fascinating.
Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. Do you have any other objects for me to hold on to?
I do.
Okay, great.
Is this one.
Ooh, great.
There you go.
Awesome. Okay, so we'll see what comes through. Okay. There's a younger energy that's coming through, not family, but references to a lot of damage in the lungs because I'm referencing to fluid in the lungs. Now, fluid in the lungs is usually something we see in older people who get pneumonia, who get, you know, whatever.
Pneumonia makes sense.
Okay. But then I also have to talk about, I have 2 drug overdoses coming through. The way I would put this, this is really confusing because for being an adult, there's a childlike quality in their life and how they were. I'm gonna get additional
Me and a
details.
few of my friends have a tendency to not grow up.
Right.
We all started working very young, right? So
Right.
it's very hard to let go of your youth when you grow up as an adult.
Right.
You know, you're expected to have adult responsibilities at a very young age.
Right.
Things like that. So
It's weird that on the other side, he comes through embracing this childlike quality and embracing how he really was. But in life, he's acknowledging that this would have like been a disservice, that in being like a child, he would have been taken advantage of. And this is like in the way that this pops in. But what's strange is that he's acknowledging that like he had opportunities where it was clear that he knew that there was like manipulation happening, and I don't know in what context. But he was still kind of naive, like still, I don't know in the way to describe this. Like if someone in a career sense hurts us or manipulates us, generally we're able to, you know, acknowledge it, see it, and then like get out of it. The feeling is that I can't get out of it, even though I know this isn't right. It's not like there's one person I'm blaming as much as there's like multiple instances of kind of what I would view as like trauma to some extent, but I don't know why he was stuck in this.
well, then I know who you're talking about.
What is this? There's a reference to getting up to get a glass. I have a glass in my hand, and I'm thirsty, and then I died of a drug overdose and passed very quickly.
You're talking about Corey Haim.
Corey Haim.
There's no question that Corey Haim was coming through to him. But I don't think Tyler knew who Corey Haim was.
I don't know who that would be referencing to.
Okay. You don't know, really? Yeah. But my best friend was Corey Haim. Yeah, it was the 2 Coreys, yeah. It all makes perfect sense, really, what you just described.
Okay.
Yeah. I believe it was the day that he passed away when I came to the house, and I was very upset. His mom told me the story of his death. She told me that he wasn't feeling well, and he said all of a sudden, I'm gonna get up and get a drink of water. And he just got up, and then all of a sudden just kind of started stumbling around, and he's like, Mom, I don't feel well. And then he just laid back down and died.
I think what's coming through with this, the only way I can really word this is, as this is coming through, I don't know if this will make sense to you. And regardless of believability, I need you to just hear what I'm gonna say. I know without a doubt that he's coming through and referencing to writing. When I'm seeing writing, this is referencing to a reveal or coming forward or being public. I don't know what the situation was. I don't know what you know of his situation. I only know what I see. But in the context of his life, I don't feel like his life's story is completely done. I don't believe that his life story is completely resolved in what has been expressed to the world from his perspective. And he knows that something can be done to fill in those pieces of his life. And it's important for him that this be done. If there's ever been any question of writing something or coming forward with something, I don't know what it means, but just please know.
It's kind of a hot point right now, yeah.
You have his encouragement in whatever this is, but it does come through.
Yeah, well, it's certainly the topic at hand. So there's been a lot of pressure on me to come forward with information that he had asked me to give this information, and I did a book. I wrote a book.
Oh, great, okay.
And that was what he asked me to do.
Right.
Unfortunately, when I wrote the book, I was not able to put forth all of the information that I would have liked.
Right.
So it was beyond my control.
Sure, sure.
That said, we are planning on making a film of that same story, but again, I imagine we would have to consider the same legal boundaries.
Right.
It's a tremendous burden. It's a tremendous burden. The story is about what's going on in Hollywood and the fact that there is an epidemic that's been there since the 20s and 30s of taking advantage of children and taking advantage of parents who are unaware of what's going on with their children. And, you know, that plays out in all sorts of different ways, from feeding drugs to kids to making them get drunk and doing things that are inappropriate. That's a decision that I'm actually struggling with right now. So you couldn't be closer, you know, to what's happening in my reality, but at the same time,
Sure.
I can't say that I have a solution at the moment.
Understandably. From his perspective, whatever happened, I don't think just affected him. And I think that it affected more than one person. And these are victims or people who have gone through whatever he went through as well, who are out there and also know of who this person is that would have been harmful or hurtful. And for their sake, there's an acknowledgement on his end of a feeling that he wishes he would have been able to be public for their sake, because there are others.
Unfortunately, these things do happen, and unfortunately, they happen to my best friend, and unfortunately, they happen to me as well. I know that I care. I know that I want to do everything that I can to help others, but it's a lot of responsibility. And it does have its own level of very intense and very real danger attached to it.